Good morning, everyone, and welcome to my May front yard garden tour. And there's little Lucky. Because my roses are in full bloom, I thought I would start this tour right here in front of my house, so you can see this gorgeous show. The ice plants are starting to fade, but the roses are definitely taking center stage now. All this rain that we had here in California definitely did all of our plants so good because there's so much nitrogen in rainwater. So this rose is called Tiffany. It's a very, very light, delicate pink color, and it has a sweet fragrance, not spicy or overpowering, just a very sweet fragrance. And as you can see, the Japanese beetles, for some reason, they love this rose too. I'm always coming out here picking Japanese beetles, but then I feed them to my chickens. So it's free protein and free food for them. I've often thought of just getting rid of this rose bush because it is so wussy when it comes to disease. But then when it blooms like this, I say, no way, that is just too gorgeous. And this rose bush is called Mr. Lincoln. In my opinion, it's one of the best red rose bushes there is. It's disease resistant, it's faithful, and it's always a little bit bigger than all of my other bushes. Mr. Lincoln. And I rarely ever see any aphids or Japanese beetles on this one. I forgot the name of this rose bush. I bought it about 5 years ago and I didn't save the tag. But I think it's just lovely as well. It starts out very, very bright orange like a sunset, and then the petals open up and they have a light pink tinge on all their edges. This rose bush is called Pot of Gold. I guess the name is very perfect for it. The buds start out a nice lemon yellow, and then as they open up, they have a golden center, hence the name Pot of Gold. Beautiful, beautiful rose show. I just had to come out here this morning and film this. And over on this side, I have a pretty deeper pink color rose, but again, I forgot the name of it. Oh, and look at the sweet little ladybugs. So what I find kind of funny is a lot of people spray their plants and they get so upset when they see aphids, but then without aphids, what would the ladybugs have to eat? So our ecosystem definitely all works out. And this rose, now I haven't deadheaded it or pruned it for this video, it's just in its natural form. This one is called Rio Samba. This one is definitely my favorite. And as you can see, the Japanese beetles love it too. But oh well, that's life. Something so beautiful like this, you can't expect the bugs to not want to get it as well. It's hard to explain these roses. They just start out like a sunset orange, and then when they open up, that's Lucky going underneath the bush, they open up and change color into more of a pink highlights. One of my favorites. And yes, you're probably wondering, what are those cars doing? Well, my husband runs a custom car building business, and we have a very, very small house. So sometimes he has to park one of his cars on the front lawn. I kid you not, on the front lawn. At least it's a pretty car though, right? Can we just call it garden art? And yes, he's a biker. Okay, now I'm going to take you on the other side of the fence and show you what's going on there. I got a new kumquat tree, and I can't wait to show it to you. On my pathway, all of my daffodils have faded, but I got these beautiful new lights. And at nighttime, they make the most gorgeous pattern on the pathway. In between the lights, I have some society garlics, and those are just starting to bloom. Sweet little lavender flowers. And now that the daffodils have faded, I'll just let the sun continue to photosynthesize the leaves so the bulbs can get bigger for next year, and I'll plant something really, really pretty in between all the society garlics. I usually put zinnias there, and they do so well. And as you can hear, my husband's got the grinder going, but that's life. That's what he does for a living, so. Okay. So over here, we have my little fountain garden. And if you've watched any of my other videos, then you know that hubby and I got this little fountain for free. He was on a construction site and somebody was throwing it away. We have some colorful heuchera, some little violas in front. Lots of heuchera inside there. I love the colors that the heucheras provide. Not all the time flowers will continue to bloom, so when there isn't any blooms, at least you can get color from the foliage. That's what's so wonderful about heucheras. Heucheras do bloom little tiny flowers, but they're typically not grown for their flowers because they're very inconspicuous. Some people remove those flower stalks, but I leave them because I think they're sweet. And believe it or not, but the pollinators like them too. See all the little red flowers? That's from the green heuchera. And I always see bees on them, so I just leave them alone. So this rose right here in front, that's called Double Trouble. I just planted it this year from bare root, and I cannot wait to see that bloom. I'm told that the fragrance is intoxicating like no other, so I'm really, really looking forward to that. And behind that is my clematis. It already put on its spring show, and it was so prolific and gorgeous. But there's still a few more blooms left. And the bees just love this. I always see big giant carpenter bees on this one. Hubby got that bench for me for my birthday a couple years ago. And growing up that iron trellis is a couple more clematises, however you say that. Because this area gets full sun, I'm not sure how well the clematis is going to do. But so far it's blooming. We'll see what happens when the heat here in California, Zone 9B, really kicks up. I think these blooms should be a little bit better. So this kind of tells me that this area might be too hot for it. But I'll continue to let it go through its cycle and test it out. And then if it's just too hot, I'll move it because I have no problem transplanting clematises. They do really, really well when I move them. This area is usually where I grow all of my zinnias and daffodils. However, it's too early for zinnias and the daffodils have already faded. You can still see all their leaves left over. But look, all of my lilies are coming up. I'm sure they're probably going to bloom next month. And these just naturalize. I don't dig up the bulbs. They come back every year. Lots of lilies, stargazer lilies, oriental lilies. They're going to be so beautiful. Oh, I do need to take all those suckers off of my crabapple tree. I don't know why that happens. Do you guys know why I get so many suckers? So I'll tell you the funny story about this kumquat tree. I was out walking one day and I was praying to God because I used to have a tree that was here and it died. And I just didn't want to spend another $100 on a new tree. So I was saying, God, what should I plant here? I don't have $100 to blow on another tree only to have it die. And as I was walking past this house, this garage door was open and this beautiful kumquat tree was inside the garage. And I said to the man, how exciting for you. Are you planting a kumquat tree today? And he goes, no, I'm actually selling this. He was having a garage sale. I go, are you serious? How much? He said $10. Can you believe that? And it came in a beautiful pot. I said, $10? Are you kidding? That's just too cheap. I'll give you 20. So I got this beautiful tree and the pot for $20. He only wanted 10. And they're so good. I didn't know it, but you could actually eat a kumquat with the rind. So it's kind of like the opposite of an orange. The orange rind is usually very bitter with the sweet inside, but the kumquats are different. The rind is actually sweet and the inside is more on the sour side. Very, very different though. You really have to acquire a taste for these. I like it. And on the fence, I made these cute little flowers using horseshoes and some type of farm equipment for the center. I don't know what it's called. And my beautiful snapdragons. In case you're wondering, how do they get so big? Well, the trick is you plant these in the fall, and they're not going to do too good over winter. They're going to stay small. They may not even flower very much. But what's happening is the roots are establishing a strong root system. So then come spring, bam, you got tall snapdragons. So I always plant them the fall before. It's called the cool flower method. You plant them in the cool season and they come back gorgeous in spring. And does anybody know why these are called snapdragons? I'll tell you. Because if you grab one of the little petals and you push on it, it opens up like a mouth. That's why they're called snapdragons. Don't worry, I won't bite. Don't you just love the way these terracotta pots are aged? Let me tell you how I did this. I just got a handful of mud and I rubbed it all along the side. I let it dry overnight. Then the next day I rinsed it off. I guess the minerals from the water or the dirt really made this happen. I'm not sure how, but that's just how I've always done it. Okay, now I just have to show you since he's making so much noise. This is my husband, Grizz, and this is where he works. And this is where all the noise comes from. So now you know why in a lot of my videos I do voiceovers. Our house was built in 1935. It's very small, but we definitely make the most of our space. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a beautiful day in your garden too.